Every time I hear a discussion about the New York Giants possibly bringing on Mathew Stafford, the one thing that I always hear people say is, oh, well, I don't want the Giants to give up draft capital for Mathew Stafford. And I'm sitting there just like, can you use your head for just a second and just really think this out for a bit? People have to quit freaking out about what this deal could potentially cost when it comes to draft capital and understand that you could get this deal done without sacrificing really any draft capital at all. Hell, you may gain picks in the process. Quit being so stuck on drafting Abdul Carter at 3, Travis Hunter at 3, and quit making the 2025 draft a draft that only consists of 5 players. There's more talent past pick number 5. There are ways to get this done. Like the trade that I proposed. If we were able to bring on Mathew Stafford, it's not going to be a first-round pick. The Giants will not make this trade for a first-round pick. There's no way this will happen. The only 2 teams that could potentially give up a first-round pick for Mathew Stafford that we have to worry about are the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they have late picks in the first round. If we're sitting there at 3 and Shedeur Sanders is still there, you already know there's mutual interest between Shedeur Sanders and the Vegas Raiders. The Vegas Raiders are sitting at 6. You trade back to 6 with the Raiders. You're not just going to get one pick for the Raiders to move from 6 to 3. You're going to get multiple assets. So even if you had to trade a second and additional picks to get Stafford, you're most likely going to get it back in return. And ask yourself, are you really going to lose any sleep if we make the trade with the Raiders and we miss out on maybe a 4th or 5th round pick that was involved in the original Stafford trade? If we don't get that back from the Raiders, is that really a deal breaker for you on this trade? That's insane to me. And if you're legitimately concerned about the fact that Mathew Stafford is asking for $50 million per season over the next 2 years, look, there is no team out there, I am almost certain of this, that is going to give a 37-year-old quarterback who really doesn't know how much longer he even wants to play a deal that consists of $50 million per season over the next 2 years. I would be shocked if that happened. Me personally, I think he's going to get signed anywhere in between 30 to 40 mil. I don't think he's going to get close to that 50. Stafford has to come to terms with the fact that he has no business being paid like a quarterback that is in their 20s, a player that is in their prime, regardless of what he's done in his past. He has no business being paid like a Lamar, a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow. He's 37. He's already had his time to make his big deals. And I would think this would eventually click in his head, because it's already clicked in the heads of the GMs all across the league. So if the Giants have to pay Mathew Stafford $30 to $40 million per year over the next 2 seasons, I'm not that concerned about it, especially if you bring on a quarterback next year in the 26th draft. After 2026, Stafford's contract is wiped off the books. You're back to square one with your rookie deal. And honestly, there's other moves that you can make to create more money. One of the moves in which I've been talking about on this channel for the past 2 or 3 years that gets a ton of pushback, and that's trading Dexter Lawrence, especially considering you're going into year number 3 of a 4-year deal for him. And I know that's something that nobody wants to see happen, but man, some of y'all might have to come to terms with this harsh reality that this man may eventually be traded. I don't think it's that much of a stretch that you could see Dexter Lawrence traded from this team in the next 2 seasons. And I'll tell you something that may play into that. If we do get Matt Stafford on this team, and we go into 2026, and he plays out the rest of his contract, and we get to 2027, and we're looking for a way to maneuver our way up in that draft, don't think Dexter Lawrence won't be an option to help us get there. And then the people that want to complain about Mathew Stafford and talk about how he's 37 years old, it's like, dude, do you not realize that Puka Nacua was out for 5 games last year? Cooper Kupp missed 4 games last year. They were basically out at the same time period. They were out at the same time period, and they came back around the same time as well. So Mathew Stafford was out there throwing to Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, rookie wide receiver Jordan Whittington, and it's not like Jordan Whittington was a draft pick that was drafted within the first 5 rounds. He was, what, a 6th, 7th round draft? He may have been a free agent. And when Puka and Kupp were out, they basically put Jordan Whittington into the Puka Nacua role because he didn't have any other option. And Matt Stafford still took that team to the playoffs. Arguably, you could almost say that he was working with what the Giants have been working with the past few years with Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, and Jordan Whittington. He got some sort of exposure last year as to what it's like to play for a New York Giants offense.